It ended up being a wee link bar that runs across from the brake bias to adjust the brake pressure front and rear, and when you press the brake it was actually pressing the accelerator down on me. So we got it sorted, and I'm a lot happier with the car now.
The third and final leg is anti-clockwise. A slight length increase should pose no major difference, but time will tell. Running in the reverse from the previous stages, roll reversal will play its part in the tail of round 1. With their progress, Eugene would inspire the chasing pack to push harder, and pushing hard themselves in stage 5, the Subaru almost comes to grief, launching at a 40-degree angle, sending the rear of the car some 5 feet into the air. But Eugene keeps the car under control, and is reassured that it isn't over until he crosses the final stage control. Dennis sprung upon the chance to regain time from the rally leaders. The XL back Metro ran a lightning pace to set fastest by 1.3 seconds, and sets up a grandstand finish on the final test. An already ferocious dogfight for the final spot on the podium took a new twist in stage 5. Morris Gass and Karen Patterson continued to suffer intercom problems, but still putting in the times, held on to third and looked favourable to keep it with one stage to go. Trevor Moore was inspired. The Escort was grabbed by the scruff of the neck and flung into the stage. Taking back time from Morris, Trevor would move back up into the top 4, with the difference now standing at just under a second.
Goes right down here.
Kieran Shaw would be the casualty of the stage 5 fight. He and Crawford Henderson would have trouble on the penultimate stage, and losing valuable time would remain 4th.
Right, and another bus stop. Flag. Bus stop.
When Brian McCluskey retired, Richard Hall was worried about a jinx, and in stage 5, the Motorcare Escort would find out why, spinning off the road onto the grass. In rear-wheel drive with a broken front differential, later they would be forced to stop, with a diff breaking completely, forcing their retirement. The class battles are often fierce, and finishing the event on top of the Class 1 leaderboard, Marshall Kennedy would cap off a dominating performance to win Class 1. Brian Black would set off into the distance on the Class 3 leaderboard, with his starlet ending the 6 stages with half a minute's advantage to spare. The Class 4 battle would come close on the final leg of the event, but staying on course with fastest on the final test, Harry McAllister and Alec Urt would win Class 4. Keeping the crowds well entertained throughout the day, Desi Keenan and Cian Curley would mingle with the bigger cars in the overall leaderboard as they take the Class 5 1600 honours. A battle that would often overshadow the overall fight is the scrap for the Class 6 honours. Gareth Logan would end the day on top by 0.8 of a second and 19th overall. Fintan McGrady had a rather spectacular shunt here last year, and almost going off in the same place this year, he keeps his new car in one piece to finish 17th overall. Derek Job will come under increasing pressure from Neil McCants in the final loop, but hanging on through the final test, claims 15th overall and 5th in Group N. Adjusting to his Subaru as the day wore on, Paddy White would clout a lorry tyre on the final stage, damaging the front of the car, and will be followed here by Kevin Lynch. Making the most of the World Rally Cars drama, Raymond Mason and Peter Martin would nip in to claim 13th overall and take 4th in Group N. Rodney Gilliland had a few close shaves of his own during the 6 stages, but keeping his Mark II in line, finishes Class 7 runners-up, top 2-wheel drive and 12th overall. And winning Group N in the event here in January, WRC Challenge winner Michael Curran would stay close to the top, finishing 3rd in Group N and 11th overall. Kevin Lynch ended a troublesome day in the 2000 Spec Impreza as the KPL machine reaches the finish 10th overall on their debut in the series with this car. Staying ahead of the World Rally car, Paul Crossan would fight off the recovery of Kevin Lynch in the final test to secure 9th overall and 2nd in Group N. Class 7 will look rather one-sided in this event as Martin Elliott's 4-wheel drive Corsa topped the timesheets, taking 8th overall. And Gary White was back on the pace. The Shell Direct Escort stormed through the final stage, posting 3rd quickest to climb back up the order to end the day 6th. and a man not so fortunate was Dickie Curran. His Evo 7 would come close to regaining the Group N lead, but also breaking a front differential in the final stage, would retire from the event. With Dickie Curran out of the picture, Richard Hogg and Mark Hanna would take full advantage, cruising home to take the Group N win and 5th overall. George Robinson and Tommy Spears spent the majority of the event hovering around the base of the top 10, but with top 3 times in the final stages, they would move up to end the day 4th. In the intense battle for 3rd, Trevor sought any advantage possible. Borrowing Brian McCluskey's tyre warmers from Richard Hall for extra grip, he would push hard as the event moved into the final leg. And almost coming a cropper in the same spot as Dickie Curran, further trouble was to strike the Ford, as a broken front differential on the final lap of the final stage would force them into retirement, thus completing the curse of Brian McCluskey's tyre warmers.
5, 4, 3, 2...
Almost securing 3rd with 1 stage to go, following a tip from Derek McGarity, Morris would start the final stage of the rally using launch control. But the Subaru would depart from the line 2 seconds early, therefore incurring a 1-minute time penalty, which would drop them to finish 9th. And with their problems now behind them, Kieran Shaw and Crawford Henderson challenged Morris for 3rd. And unable to catch the Subaru, they would go head to head in the final test. Morris would be the faster, but keeping their noses clean on the final stage, they would finish with a hard-earned 3rd place. The fight for the rally lead progressed into the final stage. Eugene Donnelly would set off the line in search of victory, and it would come down to the wire, but who would come out on top? Dennis guns it as the Metro 6R4 roars off the line into the final stage. 2 wins last year left Eugene Donnelly 2nd in the series, and the win on the opening round this year would give him a head start for 2003. But Dennis wouldn't see it the same way. His Metro was just as anxious for that kickstart to the season and for a chance at championship number 3. It would be a fight to the finish. Dennis is under pressure, and over this section we compare the top 2. Eugene is cautious through here after almost rolling on stage 5, but taking the quicker line, Dennis would pull back 4/10 of a second. And 3.6 miles was the distance between one of them and victory. With Eugene first out, he was unaware of Dennis's performance, but kept the head down and bolted for the finish line, with a time 4 minutes 5.6 seconds being the time to beat. Dennis had a tall order, and charging to regain the time, the Metro would exit the final complex too late. And coming up to cross the finish line, he would equal the time set by Eugene, maintaining the time difference and awarding victory to the EnviroCare Impreza at the death. 3.9 seconds. Eugene Donnelly takes the win from Dennis Biggerstaff. Kieran Shaw finishes 3rd, with George Robinson moving up to 4th. Group N winners Richard Hogg in 5th, with Gary White rounding off the top 6.
I wouldn't say we actually had a plan, but the idea was to come here and try and get as many points for the championship as we could, and try and not damage this lovely motor car stands. But no, we had a good day thanks to Kumo Tyres, like, and EnviroCare there. Like, they give us a good car here today, and everything went quite well, and I'm very happy with the result. Yeah.
Well, we knew a lot of time to take off Eugene, so it was just maximum attack everywhere. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work that time.
I went well most of the day. We broke a drive shaft on the 2nd stage, which messed us up a wee bit, but and I would a half spin on the 5th one. But other than that, we had a good day. You know, I think it's as good as we could expect with that car now. Happy enough.
So after round 1, Eugene Donnelly takes the championship lead from Dennis Biggerstaff. Kieran Shaw is in 3rd, George Robinson 4th, Richard Hogg 5th, and on 10 points, Gary White in 6th. RallyMax TV moves on to the A1 Tyres Kilbrony Stages Rally next, so join us on Friday 11th of April here on Sky Sports.